They've been spotted across Puerto Rico, Latin America, and deep in the deserts of the southwestern United States. People whisper its name like a curse, the Chupacabra, a creature so terrifying that whole towns have lost livestock overnight without a single trace of who or what did it. The stories are always the same. It hunts when the moon is high, preying on animals and vanishing before dawn. When the sun rises, farmers wake to find their pets and livestock lifeless. But here's the shocking part. There's no blood. Each body is left with 2 tiny puncture marks, almost surgical, as if something drained them dry, like a vampire on a midnight feast. Amanda Fitzgerald, thank you for tuning in to this week's chilling episode of Every Town. The Chupacabra isn't just a story told around campfires. Every so often, a new sighting hits the news, reigniting old fears. And today, we are going straight to the source to uncover whether this mysterious creature could actually exist, or if it's just a nightmare born from collective imagination gone wild. Let's rewind to where it all began, Puerto Rico. That's where this legend took root. In Spanish, chupa means suck, and cabra means goat. So the literal translation, goat sucker. Fitting name, right? The story first caught fire back in 1975 in the quiet rural town of Moca, Puerto Rico, when something dark started terrorizing farmers. A local farmer awoke one morning to find several of his goats dead, but not mauled, not eaten, just drained. Each animal had small circular wounds on their necks and bodies, as if something had pierced them cleanly and taken only their blood. Their flesh was untouched, no signs of struggle, no claw marks, nothing. Locals were stunned. Whatever had done this wasn't hunting for food. It was feeding on life itself. Soon after, whispers spread like wildfire, and the people of Moca gave it a chilling name, El Vampiro de Moca, the Vampire of Moca. Fear gripped the entire island. Was it an animal, a supernatural beast, or something far worse hiding in the shadows? No one knew for sure, but everyone agreed on one thing: no natural creature behaves like this. And as more livestock turned up drained, the legend only grew more sinister. One terrified witness even claimed, "No animal just sucks blood for food." That line echoed across Puerto Rico, marking the beginning of one of the most infamous cryptid mysteries in modern history, the rise of the Chupacabra. At first, terrified locals believed these gruesome killings were the work of a satanic cult. Mothers whispered that dark rituals were being performed in the dead of night, draining animals of their blood to offer as sacrifices. Investigators searched every corner of Puerto Rico, but the truth stayed buried. No evidence, no suspects, just lifeless animals and fear spreading like wildfire. Whether it was humans behind these acts or some unknown creature lurking in the shadows, either explanation was bone-chilling. Soon, reports of the same strange killings began surfacing all across the island. Goats, chickens, and dogs were found in the same horrifying condition, drained of every drop of blood, their bodies left eerily intact. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped, just like that. No clues, no answers, only silence and a lingering sense of dread. Over time, the story became part of Puerto Rican folklore, the kind of tale that every kid grew up hearing from a relative, a friend, or the neighborhood elder. And with every retelling, the legend grew darker, each town adding its own twist to the mystery. Some swore it was the work of cults, others insisted it was something from the stars, aliens performing experiments. But most agreed that it had to be a real creature, something wild and unearthly, slinking through forests, creeping from village to village. For decades, that's how it stayed, a half-forgotten horror, the kind people laughed about by day but feared to mention at night. Then, out of nowhere, the nightmare returned. Reports came flooding in again. Livestock found drained, claw marks on fences, shadows darting across moonlit fields. But this time people saw it. Witnesses described a creature like nothing they'd ever seen. Glowing red eyes, sharp fangs, and leathery skin. The legend of the Chupacabra had come back to life. And now it had a face. Now Here's where it gets fascinating. Many believe the Chupacabra legend is ancient, but compared to other cryptids, it's actually young. Take Bigfoot, for example. Native Americans were carving petroglyphs of a hairy man almost 1,000 years ago. Or the Loch Ness Monster, whose earliest record dates back to the 7th century. In that account, an Irish monk swimming in the River Ness was suddenly pulled under by a massive water beast before stunned witnesses. The search that followed led to reports of a giant creature gliding through the waters, the monster we now call Nessie. And then there's the Jersey Devil, another eerie cousin of the Chupacabra. Its legend began in the early 1700s, but exploded in 1909 when hundreds of people claimed to have seen, or even been attacked by, a winged creature with hooves soaring through the sky. Each one of these tales shares one thing in common, a mystery that refuses to die. Here's where things start getting wild. The Chupacabra shares eerie similarities with other legendary creatures. Witnesses say it moves like a kangaroo, hopping on strong back legs with glowing red eyes and sharp fangs. Strangely enough, that same kangaroo body description matches reports of the Jersey Devil, another winged nightmare said to terrorize the East Coast. But unlike those older myths passed down for centuries, the Chupacabra is modern. It only officially got its name in 1995 when chaos erupted after a brutal attack that left 8 sheep dead, their blood completely drained. That's when the legend roared back to life and people started whispering once again about El Vampiro de Mocha. The name itself came from an unexpected source, a Puerto Rican comedian named Silverio Perez. While joking about the strange livestock killings on his radio show, he offhandedly called the creature El Chupacabra, the goat sucker. The name was catchy, chilling, and instantly unforgettable. From that day forward, it stuck like glue. But make no mistake, in 1995, this wasn't just some silly story to locals. The island was on edge. Imagine hearing terrifying childhood tales about a blood-sucking monster, and then suddenly seeing it come to life right outside your window. People were scared, desperate for answers, and behind all the panic was something deeper, a tension that had been simmering for years. You see, many Puerto Ricans have long felt like their island lives in America's shadow, owned yet not equal. The U.S. military has bases there, including Fort Buchanan, and many locals have grown skeptical of what really goes on behind those guarded gates. So when animals started turning up drained of blood again, wild theories exploded across the island. People began whispering that the Chupacabra wasn't a creature from folklore at all, but a government experiment gone wrong. The most popular rumor said that scientists, possibly connected to secret research in the El Yunque rainforest, had been experimenting on animals, mixing DNA, creating hybrids, and one of those test subjects escaped. The idea of a lab-born monster stalking the countryside hit a nerve, and soon everyone was convinced something unnatural was loose in Puerto Rico. That theory grew stronger when an eyewitness came face to face with the creature, close enough to smell it. The stench, they said, was foul, like rotting meat mixed with chemicals. It was March 1995 when those 8 sheep were found early one morning, each with strange puncture wounds on their chests, not the neck this time, as if something had driven sharp instruments right into their hearts. None of the animals were eaten, clawed, or mangled. They were simply drained. And here's the part that shook everyone. Veterinarians couldn't find any signs of natural causes. These weren't animal attacks, diseases, or hoaxes. It looked surgical, almost clinical. That detail reignited the government experiment theory, and people began saying the unthinkable. Maybe the U.S. created the Chupacabra, and now they couldn't control it. From that point forward, the Chupacabra wasn't just a bedtime story. It was real. It was back. and this time it was hunting in broad daylight. If that March attack had been the only one, maybe the panic would have died down, but instead it exploded. Over the next few months, Puerto Rico was gripped by fear as more than 150 animals and pets, goats, chickens, rabbits, cats, even dogs, were found slaughtered in the exact same chilling way. Their bodies were left scattered across farms and forest floors, drained of every drop of blood. It was as if something was feeding on the island itself. Then came the sighting that would shake everything. In August 1995, a woman named Madeline Tolentino was getting ready for bed in her home near Canovanas when she heard rustling outside. Curious but uneasy, she peeked through her window and froze. What she saw moving under the moonlight didn't belong in this world. The creature crept through her yard like a predator stalking prey. It had the body of a kangaroo, but its movements were strange, almost mechanical, walking upright at times, then dropping to all fours to sniff the ground like it was tracking something. Madeline said the creature's skin looked reptilian, scaly, grayish, and slick, with long, sharp spines running from the back of its head all the way down to its tail. Its eyes were huge and completely black, reflecting no light, no emotion, just emptiness. And the smell? Like rotten eggs, she recalled, gagging as the stench filled her room through the cracked window. She said the air felt heavy, like something dark had stepped into her world that night. Within days, other people from nearby towns came forward, claiming they'd seen the exact same thing. Some described it as walking upright, others swore it ran on all fours, and a few said it had wings or a tail, while others didn't see either. But one detail never changed. It always appeared at night. Each sighting came with that same awful smell and the same eerie silence before it vanished into the darkness. Now remember, this was 1995, the early days of the internet. Back then, people were just starting to log on to AOL and explore online chat rooms. And once the first reports of the Chupacabra hit the web, the story went viral, long before viral even existed. Blog posts, message boards, and late-night radio shows couldn't stop talking about it. Everyone wanted to know what was killing these animals and leaving behind those perfect puncture wounds. Soon, the Chupacabra wasn't just Puerto Rico's nightmare, it was Latin America's obsession. From Mexico to Chile, people began sharing their own stories. Livestock found drained, strange noises at night, and creatures lurking in the shadows. Each new report made the legend grow stronger and scarier. And before long, what began as a small-town mystery had turned into a global phenomenon. The rise of the world's most infamous blood-sucking cryptid. By the year 2000, the legend of the Chupacabra had officially crossed borders and sunk its claws into the United States. Reports were pouring in from all over the Southwest, but none more frequent or more terrifying than from Texas. Locals started calling it the Texas Chupacabra, a new breed of nightmare that seemed to evolve right out of the desert heat. On February 24th, in Victoria County, South Texas, a man named Doug Ort and his family were relaxing at home when a bone-chilling howl echoed through the night. His grandson ran outside with a flashlight and froze in shock. Standing there was a hairless creature, its skin burned and leathery, its fangs long and yellowed like a coyote from hell. Doug grabbed his rifle and fired, hitting the creature. When they examined it up close, they said it didn't look like any known animal. No fur, grayish-blue scales, and eyes that looked almost human. Just 2 months later, another shocking encounter happened in Radcliffe, Texas. Bubba Parma and his wife Jackie were tending to their property when they stumbled across something that made their blood run cold. A small, bald creature lying in the dirt, whimpering in pain. At first, they thought it was an abandoned puppy. Bubba gently wrapped it in a towel and carried it home. But once they got a closer look under the light, they realized This wasn't any kind of dog. Its skin was raw and scaly, with strange ridges running down its back, just like the Chupacabra from Puerto Rico. They believed they had found a baby Chupacabra. And what made it creepier was that they had recently seen the news about the Victoria County incident, barely an hour's drive away. Could it be that these creatures were multiplying across Texas? Fast forward to 2019, when a bizarre photo taken outside Houston went viral. It showed a four-legged, hairless animal prowling through someone's backyard, its glowing eyes caught in the flash. Locals swore it was the real thing, the Chupacabra reborn in Texas. Then came the story that sent the internet into a frenzy. October 2022, headlines everywhere screamed, "Zoo captures Chupacabra creature in Amarillo, Texas." Surveillance cameras at the Amarillo Zoo caught a humanoid-like figure walking on two legs behind a fence at night. The image spread online instantly. Some said it was a prank, others insisted it was proof. Even local officials admitted they had no idea what it was. To this day, no one has explained what the camera truly captured, but the resemblance to the Chupacabra was undeniable. Of course, the more photos that appeared, the more the mystery grew. One of the most famous images connected to this cryptid craze was the so-called Montauk Monster, a grotesque, hairless carcass that washed ashore on the beaches of Montauk, New York. The bloated creature had sharp teeth, elongated limbs, and an almost reptilian face. Experts couldn't even agree on what it was. Some said raccoon, others a sea turtle, a dog, a sheep, or even something unknown. Whatever it was, it didn't look like anything nature intended. And here's where things take a darker turn. Just a few miles from where that creature washed ashore lies Plum Island, a secretive government facility shrouded in mystery. Locals have long whispered that it's home to secret biological experiments. And here's the kicker. Civilians aren't allowed anywhere near it. Anyone who tries to approach is chased away by armed guards. So when people connect the dots, strange animals washing up near restricted labs, creatures appearing across the country with identical features, it raises a chilling question no one can quite shake off. What if the Chupacabra isn't folklore at all? What if it's something we created? There's a dark legend surrounding Plum Island, and it goes way beyond the Chupacabra. For decades, people have believed this tiny patch of land off the coast of New York hides one of the most secretive animal testing facilities in America. Locals whisper that deadly experiments have taken place there. Some even claim that Lyme disease itself was created in those labs before it spread into the mainland. Others insist the Montauk Monster, that hideous hairless carcass found on the beach, came straight from Plum Island before it either escaped or was dumped into the ocean and washed ashore. When those eerie photos surfaced, the story blew up instantly, and ever since people have been asking the same haunting question. Could the Chupacabra also be connected to government experiments gone wrong? That's the million-dollar mystery. Is it real or just a terrifying mix of myth and misunderstanding? The truth is, we still don't know for sure, but one man came closer than anyone else to finding out. Enter Benjamin Radford, a writer and paranormal investigator who decided he wasn't going to rely on rumors. He wanted proof. Radford had been tracking the Chupacabra legend from the very beginning, digging into every report, every sighting, every piece of so-called evidence. He spent 5 years chasing the truth across Puerto Rico, the southern United States, and deep into the forests of South America, talking to witnesses, walking blood-soaked farmland, and examining the supposed remains of these creatures. He wanted answers, one way or another. Now Radford admitted he was skeptical. He didn't believe in monsters without evidence. But if there was even a chance this thing existed, he was determined to uncover it. And after years of fieldwork, what he discovered was shocking, but not in the way most people expected. According to Radford, all those photos and videos of so-called chupacabras in Texas and beyond weren't supernatural beasts at all. He found that nearly every case could be explained by a very real, very common skin condition known as sarcoptic mange. This disease, caused by microscopic mites that burrow into the skin, mostly affects wild canines like dogs, coyotes, wolves, and foxes. It's highly contagious and brutally painful. The animals scratch and bite at their skin until their fur falls out completely, leaving them bald, covered in scabs, and looking, you guessed it, reptilian. Their skin becomes rough, thick, and grayish, making them appear like monstrous, scaly creatures in the moonlight. So when that boy in South Texas shot what he believed was a chupacabra, the truth was much simpler. It was a coyote with mange. The tiny baby chupacabra that Bubba Parma and his wife found, that was a puppy, also suffering from mange. Even the viral photo from Houston, the one that reignited the internet's obsession, was later analyzed and believed to show yet another coyote in the advanced stages of the disease, and that mysterious Amarillo Zoo footage that made headlines worldwide. Radford revealed that one too. It was a hoax. Someone had manipulated the footage for attention. So maybe, just maybe, the chupacabra isn't a creature from another world or a lab experiment gone rogue. Maybe it's something far more tragic, a real animal disfigured by disease, misunderstood by fear, and transformed by legend into a monster that refuses to die. Whether that eerie zoo photo was real or not is still up for debate. The Amarillo Zoo has stayed suspiciously quiet about the whole thing, and some say that silence speaks volumes. But here's the twist. The mystery turned out to be great for business. The viral image brought floods of visitors hoping to catch a glimpse of the so-called chupacabra. The buzz got so wild that zoo officials decided to lean into it. They even started planning a chupacabra hunting expedition for the public, charging a small fee for brave thrill seekers who wanted to join the search. Talk about cashing in on chaos. Of course, the truth behind the photo might be far less supernatural. It's possible the image just showed a regular zoo animal caught at a weird angle under dim lighting, and someone decided to label it Chupacabra Caught on Camera. Once it hit the internet, it spread like wildfire. People from all over the world started debating its authenticity, analyzing every pixel, every shadow, every movement. But let's be honest, whether it's real or fake doesn't even matter much anymore. The name Chupacabra alone guarantees clicks, views, and headlines. That's why new sightings still pop up every few months. People know it sells. Now, when it comes to the supposed bloodless animal corpses, things get even more interesting. Despite all the spooky claims, no investigation has ever proven that these animals were completely drained of blood. That belief came from assumptions, because when people find animals dead with puncture marks, their minds jump to vampires instead of predators. But in most cases, the explanation is much simpler. When a dog or wild canine attacks another animal, it doesn't always eat it. Sometimes it's just an act of dominance or self-defense. According to the BBC, it's actually common for dogs to bite other animals, even fatally, and then walk away without consuming them. They might see another animal as competition for food, space, or territory, and when the victim bleeds out slowly overnight, there's no dramatic scene, just a lifeless body and the illusion of something sinister. Combine that with fear, superstition, and the scars of past legends, and suddenly you've got another chupacabra story making the rounds. And remember that mange theory? It still fits perfectly here. An infected canine suffering from mange becomes weaker and more desperate, lashing out at smaller animals while avoiding fights it can't win. It kills with minimal effort, just enough to eliminate competition. Those same sick creatures wandering through rural towns at night with hairless, scaly bodies are terrifying to see, especially in the dark. Still, not every sighting fits the mold. Take Madeline Tolentino's 1995 account, for example. the one where she claimed to see a reptilian-spined creature right outside her window in Puerto Rico. Her description matched the Chupacabra perfectly, down to the glowing eyes and horrible stench. But here's where Benjamin Radford dropped a bombshell. He believed her sighting might have been influenced by something she didn't even realize: a movie. That same year, the sci-fi horror film Species had just hit theaters, and part of it was actually filmed in Puerto Rico. The movie featured an alien-human hybrid with slick, scaly skin, long spines down its back, and the same haunting stare described by Tolentino. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing was too perfect to ignore. Could it be that the image of the Chupacabra wasn't born from a real encounter, but from Hollywood itself? That alien-human hybrid in Species looked almost identical to what Madeline Tolentino described. Scaly skin, spines down its back, black eyes. The resemblance was uncanny. And here's the twist. Radford discovered that Madeline had watched that very movie just days before her supposed sighting. He believed her imagination had connected the dots in the middle of the night, turning something ordinary, maybe a shadow, maybe an animal, into a monster straight out of the big screen. As Radford put it, it's all there. She saw the movie, and then she saw something she mistook for a monster. That small moment of confusion became the spark that reignited the global obsession with the Chupacabra. Back in 1995, the internet was brand new. No social media, no instant fact-checking, just message boards, chat rooms, and online forums buzzing with wild ideas. People finally felt like they could investigate mysteries on their own without waiting for the news or the government to tell them what to believe, and that sense of power, that thrill of discovery, was intoxicating. Suddenly, the Chupacabra wasn't just a scary story from Puerto Rico. It became a worldwide mystery that everyone could join in on. The legend exploded across early internet culture. Millions of users sharing blurry photos, grainy videos, and first-hand encounters, each one feeding the frenzy. Everyone wanted to be the one to uncover the truth, to prove they had spotted something that no one else dared believe in. And that, right there, is why the Chupacabra myth still thrives to this day. Because it's exciting, it's eerie, and it taps into that deep human urge to believe in the unexplained. Maybe there is something out there lurking in the night, draining livestock and leaving behind those haunting puncture marks. Or maybe, as Radford and others have suggested, it's a mix of fear, imagination, and misidentification, a legend born from the way we see what we want to see. Either way, the Chupacabra remains one of the most thrilling modern mysteries of our time. Part science, part folklore, and all chills. You clicked on this episode because you wanted the truth about the Chupacabra, and maybe the real truth is this: even when logic explains the mystery, it's still way more fun to believe. So that's it for this week's episode of Every Town. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends, and come back next week for another story filled with scary, strange, and mysterious twists. Who knows? Maybe your town will be next.